Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Mystery Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring some of the most fascinating mysteries that archaeology still struggles to explain. Underneath the official stories of the ancient world, there are discoveries that don't quite fit the narrative. Some are accepted as puzzles. Others sit at the edge of serious debate. A few have attracted theories that sounded impossible at first, until the evidence began to emerge. Archaeology is often described as a study of what came before, but sometimes it feels like a doorway into what we may have forgotten. A carved stone can challenge a timeline. A buried chamber can change a theory. A ruined site can make the past feel far more advanced than it was supposed to be. Tonight's journey is not about solving every mystery. It is about noticing the questions that refuse to disappear. It is about letting the ancient world become unfamiliar again. If you enjoy these curious journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders soften. Allow your breathing to slow. And as the day begins to gently fade away, join me as we explore our mysterious past together. Let's begin. The discovery of Göbekli Tepe rewrote the timeline of how early civilizations emerged. For a long time, the usual story said farming came first, then settled villages, then temples. This site seems to disturb that order. Its carved pillars were raised by people who may not yet have lived in anything like a city. The stones show animals, symbols, and strange human forms with a confidence that feels far beyond a simple beginning. What makes it more unsettling is the effort required. Someone had to plan the layout. Someone had to quarry the stone. Someone had to gather people for work that may have taken enormous shared belief. Some researchers see it as a ritual center. Some people wonder whether it preserves memory from a lost culture that existed before known history was meant to begin. Then there is the burial of the site itself. It was deliberately covered. That decision feels almost as mysterious as its construction. The Great Pyramid still refuses a simple construction explanation. Khufu's monument is one of the most measured structures on Earth. Yet its building process remains strangely difficult to pin down. The standard explanation involves ramps, workers, sledges, and years of organized labor. That may be true, but the details still leave room for wonder. The blocks are heavy. The alignment is astonishing. The internal chambers show planning that does not feel casual or experimental. Even when modern teams try to imagine the logistics, the project becomes a staggering puzzle of food, labor, transport, timing, and precision. Some people believe the builders possessed lost techniques that made stone easier to move. Others suggest the pyramid served a purpose beyond burial, perhaps connected with energy, astronomy, or sacred measurement. The official story has strength, but it does not remove the awe. However it was built, it represents a level of coordination that still feels almost impossible. Ancient megaliths suggest forgotten engineers moved impossible stones. Across the ancient world, huge stones were transported, lifted, balanced, and fitted into place with a confidence that still feels hard to explain. These were not small building pieces. Some weighed as much as modern houses. Others were placed on slopes, islands, terraces, or high ceremonial sites where the journey itself seems almost unreasonable. Archaeologists often point to ropes, wooden rowers, earthen ramps, and large teams of workers. Those methods can explain some cases, but not all of them feel satisfying. The mystery grows when the stones are shaped with tight joins or raised into positions that leave little margin for error. Some people imagine acoustic lifting, lost machines, or forgotten master builders whose methods vanished with their cultures. Even without going that far, the pattern is remarkable. Again and again, ancient people chose the hardest possible material and treated it as if it could be persuaded. The Sphinx may be older than Egypt's official story. The familiar explanation places this great figure in the age of the pharaohs, tied to royal power and the world of pyramid building. Yet one detail keeps the debate alive. The body shows weathering that some researchers have linked to heavy rainfall. That possibility is provocative because Egypt's climate was much wetter long before the dynastic period reached its height. If the erosion argument is correct, then the monument could preserve a memory from a far older chapter of the Nile Valley. Many Egyptologists disagree, and they offer other explanations for the marks on the stone. Still, the idea has a strange pull. A lion-shaped guardian looking across the plateau may not have begun exactly as we see it today. Perhaps it was recarved. Perhaps its face changed with a later ruler. The deeper question remains open enough to keep people looking twice. Stonehenge hides a lost purpose beneath familiar stones. Everyone knows its shape, but familiarity can make the mystery feel smaller than it really is. This was not just a ring of stones. It was part of a larger ceremonial landscape filled with avenues, burials, timber circles, and carefully arranged sightlines. The builders hauled bluestones from far away, which means the material itself mattered. The monument also marks solar events with impressive care, but that does not fully explain why generations kept altering it. Was it a temple? Was it a healing place? Was it a gathering point for people who traveled across prehistoric Britain? Each answer explains a little and leaves something behind. Some people believe the stones were arranged to focus sound or energy. Others see a calendar that worked through ceremony instead of writing. What survives is only the hard skeleton of an idea. The living purpose has slipped away. Balbeck's foundation stones seem too massive for ordinary ancient methods. In Lebanon, the ancient platform beneath a Roman temple complex contains stones so huge that they have become legends in themselves. The famous blocks are not merely large. They are almost absurdly large for a conventional building project. The Romans were brilliant engineers, and they moved heavy materials across their empire. Even so, the scale at this site pushes the imagination. Nearby, an even larger unfinished block still lies in the quarry. It gives a clue to the ambition of the builders, but it also deepens the problem. Why choose stones of such extreme size when smaller ones would have worked? Some suggest religious prestige. Others think the platform may have incorporated an earlier sacred site with older foundations. Fringe writers have gone further, imagining giants, lost machinery, or visitors with unusual knowledge. The stones do not confirm those ideas, but they certainly invite them. The Antikythera mechanism feels like technology from the wrong age. When divers recovered a corroded object from an ancient shipwreck, nobody expected it to become one of history's strangest machines. Inside the damaged bronze were gears, scales, pointers, and hidden mechanical relationships. It was not a simple tool. It could model cycles of the sky with a sophistication that seemed out of place for the ancient world. The device forced scholars to rethink Greek engineering. It also raised an uncomfortable question. If one such object survived by accident, how many others disappeared forever? Its craftsmanship suggests a tradition, not a single miracle. Some people wonder whether ancient science reached heights we have barely recovered from fragments. Others see it as proof that lost libraries may have contained knowledge far richer than surviving texts suggest. The wreck gave us one broken machine. Behind it may have been an entire world of instruments. Puma Punku looks engineered beyond its accepted place in history. I, in Bolivia, This ruined complex has blocks that seem to belong in a different conversation. The stones show clean angles, repeating forms, and tight shapes that have fascinated visitors for decades. Some pieces look almost modular, as if they were designed to fit into a larger system. Mainstream explanations credit the builders of Tiwanaku with impressive skill in quarrying, shaping, and planning. That alone is remarkable. Yet the visual impact is so precise that many people see something stranger. They imagine templates, machines, or a lost technology that does not survive in the archaeological record. The altitude adds to the feeling of improbability. Moving heavy stone in that landscape would have demanded organization and determination. The site is ruined now, so its original appearance must be reconstructed from broken pieces. That brokenness leaves space for competing visions of what once stood there. The Nazca lines still make more sense from the sky. In the deserts of Peru, enormous figures and straight lines stretch across the ground at a scale that feels designed for a viewer above. There are animals, geometric forms, and pathways that can be hard to appreciate from close range. The usual explanation connects them with ritual movement, water beliefs, and ceremonial landscapes. That makes sense in human terms because people do not need airplanes to create large sacred designs. Yet the aerial effect remains powerful. Once seen from above, the figures seem to ask why ancient artists worked so far beyond ordinary human sight. Some people propose star maps, landing guides, or messages meant for beings who watched from the heavens. Others prefer processions across marked ground, where meaning came from walking rather than viewing. The desert preserved the lines with unusual care. It also preserved the question of who they were really for. Archaeology keeps finding civilizations older than anyone expected. The past does not sit still. Every few years, a discovery pushes some boundary further back, and the timeline becomes less tidy. Older settlements appear. Earlier monuments are dated. Tools turn up in places where they were not supposed to be. This does not mean every wild theory is correct, but it does mean confidence can be dangerous. For generations, the story of civilization has been rewritten by patient excavation and by evidence that once seemed impossible. That is what makes archaeology so exciting. It is a field where the ground can still disagree with the textbooks. Some people believe this pattern hints at lost advanced cultures before recorded history. Others see a slower process, with many groups becoming more capable than we once imagined. Either way, the lesson is humbling. Human history may be deeper, stranger, and more inventive than the simple versions suggest. Machu Picchu was built with precision that still puzzles experts. Perched high above the Urubamba Valley, the Inca estate feels impossible before the first stone is examined. Its terraces grip steep ground. Its walls resist earthquakes through careful fitting. Its sacred spaces appear shaped to work with the mountain rather than dominate it. The builders had no iron tools in the modern sense, yet many stones were cut to meet with remarkable closeness. Archaeologists understand much about Inca labor, roads, and imperial planning, but the site still creates wonder because of where it stands. Everything had to arrive through difficult terrain. Every wall had to answer the problem of rain, slope, and movement. Some people see evidence of an inherited stoneworking tradition that may be older than the Inca themselves. Others imagine that sacred knowledge guided the design. However one explains it, the place feels less like a ruin than a finished thought. The Longyu caves were carved on a scale nobody recorded. In eastern China, a series of vast man-made caverns remained hidden underwater until they were rediscovered in modern times. Once drained, they revealed chambers with pillars, stairs, pools, and patterned chisel marks across the walls. The work required the removal of a huge amount of rock, yet no clear historical record explains who made them or why. That silence is what makes the caves so gripping. Projects of this size usually leave stories, officials, legends, or practical clues. Here, the evidence feels strangely incomplete. Some suggest quarries. Others propose storage, ritual use, military shelter, or an imperial project that vanished from memory. The repeating tool marks create a sense of discipline rather than chaos. Someone planned these spaces and knew exactly what they were doing. The mystery is not only how they were carved, it is how something so ambitious became almost forgotten. Durinkoyu suggests ancient people planned for dangers we cannot name. Beneath Cappadocia lies an underground city that could shelter thousands of people. It contained rooms, shafts, tunnels, storage areas, and defensive stone doors. This was not a small hiding place for a brief emergency. It was an engineered refuge built for survival below the surface. Scholars connect it with invasions, persecution, and the long history of conflict in the region. That explanation is reasonable, yet the scale makes the imagination wonder. What threat convinced communities to create such an elaborate world underground? How long did people live there when the doors were sealed? Some people wonder whether older fears were being remembered, perhaps of disaster, climate shock, or enemies lost to history. The ventilation alone shows careful understanding. The tunnels could confuse outsiders while protecting insiders. It feels like a place designed by people who had learned that danger could arrive suddenly from above. Malta's cart ruts seem to lead into a vanished world. Across Malta, pairs of grooves cut into limestone run over land, through fields, and in some cases down toward the sea. They look like tracks, but their purpose remains uncertain. Some may have been made by sledges or wheeled vehicles. Others seem too deep, too strange, or too oddly placed for a simple transport explanation. The underwater sections raise the most intriguing possibility. Were some formed when sea levels were lower? If so, they may connect to a landscape that no longer exists. The islands already hold megalithic temples older than many famous monuments, which makes every unexplained feature feel more charged. Some people imagine prehistoric industry on a larger scale than expected. Others see ritual pathways or repeated movement connected with sacred sites. The grooves are plain to see, but their meaning has slipped out of reach. They look practical and mysterious at once. The Baghdad battery raises strange questions about ancient electricity. A small clay jar, a copper cylinder, and an iron rod became famous because together they seemed capable of producing an electrical charge. The object has often been linked with the idea that ancient people understood simple batteries long before modern science. Mainstream scholars are cautious. They point out that the item may have had a more ordinary purpose, perhaps connected with storage or ritual practice. Even so, replicas have shown that similar arrangements can generate a small current when filled with the right liquid. That does not prove ancient electrical technology, but it keeps the door open just enough for speculation. Some people imagine electroplating, temple effects, or secret knowledge held by skilled craftsmen. The real power of the mystery lies in its simplicity. A few humble materials create a question that feels much larger than the object itself. Sometimes the smallest artifact causes the biggest argument. Nan Madol was built from stones that should not move easily. Off the coast of Pohnpei, an ancient city rises from artificial islets made with dark basalt logs. The builders stacked long stone columns into walls, platforms, and ceremonial spaces surrounded by water. The result has often been called the Venice of the Pacific, but that comparison can make the achievement sound too familiar. This was an island construction project using heavy stone in a place where transport would have been a major challenge. Local tradition speaks of powerful rulers and supernatural help. Archaeology points to organized labor and social control. Both views feel important because the site seems built to impress as much as to function. Some people wonder whether magnetic forces, levitation chants, or forgotten techniques lie behind the stories. The location adds to the mystery. It is not hidden in land. It stands between land and ocean, like a royal center made to feel separate from ordinary life. The Voynich manuscript remains unreadable despite generations of serious study. This strange book is filled with unknown writing and drawings that resist every confident explanation. Its pages show plants that do not clearly match known species, human figures in curious settings, and diagrams that seem meaningful without becoming clear. Codebreakers, linguists, historians, and computer analysts have all tried to solve it. None has produced an answer accepted by everyone. Some believe it is a coded text. Others think it may be a constructed language, a medical manual, a hoax, or an elaborate work of private imagination. The manuscript's dating places it in a real historical world, which makes its strangeness harder to dismiss. Someone made it with care. Someone understood its system, or wanted others to believe there was one. The great question is whether the text hides knowledge or only imitates knowledge. Until it can be read, the book remains a locked room made of ink. Teotihuacan was abandoned by builders whose identity remains uncertain. Near modern Mexico City, one of the ancient world's greatest cities rose with broad avenues, immense pyramids, apartment compounds, and a layout that suggests strong central planning. Yet we still do not know exactly who founded it or what language they spoke. Later peoples found it impressive enough to treat it as a place of deep significance. By then, its original power had already faded. The city's art reveals gods, rituals, and symbols, but not the kind of royal biographies that might explain its ruins. That silence gives the ruins an unusual atmosphere. A metropolis existed, shaped the region, influenced distant cultures, and then left behind more questions than names. Some people see the plan as a reflection of the cosmos. Others wonder whether the city was built by a coalition whose identity was deliberately collective. Its abandonment adds another layer. A giant center emptied, and memory became legend. Ancient Egyptian drill marks look strangely precise to modern eyes. Certain stone artifacts from Egypt show circular cups and tool marks that have sparked long debate. Mainstream researchers explain them through copper drills, abrasive sand, bow-driven tools, and skilled labor repeated over long periods. That explanation can work, especially when ancient craftsmen are given the patience they deserve. Still, some marks appear so clean and controlled that they have become favorites among people who argue for lost machining techniques. Granite and hard stone make the issue more fascinating because they are difficult materials, even with better tools. The question is not whether Egyptians were capable. They clearly were. The real puzzle is how much of their workshop knowledge has disappeared because it was passed by practice instead of writing. Some people imagine lathes, core drills, or methods we have not reconstructed properly. Every groove becomes a small clue. It points toward hands that understood stone more deeply than we might expect. The plain of jars holds thousands of vessels with unclear purpose. In Laos, great stone jars are scattered across upland landscapes in groups that feel both deliberate and haunting. Some are small enough to imagine being moved with effort. Others are heavy enough to raise serious questions about transport and placement. Archaeologists have linked them with ancient burial practices, and that explanation has strong evidence. Yet the full story remains incomplete. Who organized the work? Why were these particular locations chosen? what beliefs surrounded the vessels when they were new. Local legends describe giants and ancient banquets, which may preserve only a faint echo of older meaning. The jars have endured weather, conflict, and long silence. Many sites were difficult to study for years because of modern dangers in the landscape. That delayed research has made the mystery feel even larger. They are not ornate monuments. Their power comes from repetition. One jar is curious. Thousands feel like a message. Karnak's stone rows may preserve a forgotten prehistoric code. In western France, thousands of standing stones stretch across the landscape in long, ordered lines. Their arrangement feels too deliberate to be dismissed as decoration, yet their meaning has never been recovered. Some stones are small. Others rise with the presence of markers meant to be seen from a distance. The usual explanations point towards ceremony, territory, astronomy, or ancestral memory. Each possibility helps, but none explains the full scale of the effort. The builders placed these stones before writing could record their intention, so every interpretation becomes a kind of listening exercise. Some people believe the rows mapped stars, measured cycles, or guided processions through a sacred landscape. Others wonder whether the pattern encoded information that only trained members of the culture could read. The mystery is not simply why the stones were raised. It is why so many were needed, and why the message mattered enough to endure. The Olmec heads hint at power, identity, and lost authority. In ancient Mesoamerica, enormous carved heads were shaped from basalt and moved across difficult terrain. Their faces are not vague symbols. They feel specific, with individual features, helmets, and expressions that suggest real people of importance. Many scholars connect them with rulers, ancestors, or elite figures from early Olmec society. That seems likely, yet it opens more questions than it closes. How were these massive sculptures transported without wheeled vehicles used for hauling? What kind of social power could command the labor? Why were some heads buried or relocated? Their scale gives them a strange authority, as if they were meant to make memory physically unavoidable. Some people see signs of visitors, lost dynasties, or influence from places far beyond the Gulf Coast. More cautious voices see a local culture of astonishing skill. Either way, the heads stare back across time, with identities we cannot name. Sacsayhuaman's walls fit together with almost impossible precision. Above Cusco, enormous stones lock into one another in shapes so irregular that the construction can look impossible at first glance. These are not neat bricks. They are huge blocks with many angles fitted so tightly that a blade can struggle to enter the joins. The Inca are credited with the site, and their stoneworking tradition was extraordinary. Still, the craftsmanship invites constant debate. Each block had to be shaped to its neighbors. Each adjustment demanded control over weight, balance, and surface. Some people believe the stones were softened by lost chemistry. Others imagine tools or techniques that left no obvious trace. The official explanation emphasizes skilled labor, repeated testing, and deep practical knowledge. Yet the result still feels almost beyond patience. The walls do not merely stand. They seem to grip the hill with a logic that turns chaos into strength, and that logic remains difficult to recreate. The Shigear idol carries symbols older than written history. Found in a peat bog in the Ural Mountains, this wooden figure is older than many famous ancient monuments. Its survival is remarkable, because wood usually disappears long before stone. The surface is covered with carved faces and geometric marks, which seem to point toward a symbolic world far earlier than expected. It was not made by people simply struggling to survive. It suggests imagination, ritual, identity, and perhaps storytelling in a deep prehistoric setting. The marks have been interpreted as spirits warnings, clan signs, or a kind of memory system. No one can read them with certainty. Some people see the idol as evidence that complex belief systems existed long before settled civilization. Others focus on the craftsmanship itself, because carving such a figure required planning and skill. The peat preserved the object, but not the voice behind it. What remains is a message without a translation. Gunung Padang may hide a much deeper ancient structure. On an Indonesian hill, terraces of columnar stone have attracted attention far beyond ordinary archaeology. The accepted view sees a megalithic site, built and modified by ancient communities. The more dramatic claim suggests that the hill contains older buried layers, perhaps forming a pyramid-like structure from a very remote period. That idea is controversial, but it has made the site famous among people who suspect human civilization may be much older than textbooks allow. Surveys have detected unusual features below the surface, although their meaning remains debated. Natural geology, human construction, and later, alteration, may all be part of the story. The excitement comes from the possibility that the visible stones are only the top chapter. Some people imagine a lost culture preserved under soil and vegetation. Others urge caution until stronger excavation confirms the layers. Either way, the hill has become a battleground for the age of civilization itself. The Dropa stones became one of archaeology's strangest fringe legends. The story begins with claims of strange stone discs found in remote Chinese caves. According to the legend, the discs carried tiny grooves or inscriptions linked to beings who came from the sky. The tale later grew into a classic alternative history mystery, complete with alleged translations, hidden discoveries, and official silence. Mainstream archaeology does not accept the story as established evidence. In fact, many details are difficult to verify. Yet the legend survives because it touches a powerful idea. What would happen if an ancient culture had recorded contact with visitors nobody believed in? Some people treat the stones as a hoax or modern myth. Others think the uncertainty around the evidence is part of what makes it suspicious. As a mystery, it lives less in museums than in the imagination. It shows how archaeology can become a doorway for the wildest questions. Ancient vitrified forts suggest fires hotter than simple warfare. In parts of Europe, some hill fort walls contain stones fused together by intense heat. The effect is real, and it has puzzled observers for a long time. One explanation is practical. People may have burned timber-laced walls during destruction or construction, causing parts of the stone to melt or glaze. Another possibility is that attackers used fire so intensely that the structures were transformed during conflict. Yet the temperatures involved have inspired more unusual theories. Some people have imagined ancient weapons, forgotten industrial processes, or ritual burnings meant to change a place forever. The mystery varies from site to site, which makes a single answer difficult. Not every vitrified wall formed in the same way. That uncertainty keeps the phenomenon alive. Fire is usually a force that destroys evidence. Here, it became the evidence, leaving behind stone that seems to remember a heat we cannot fully explain. The Kochno stone records symbols nobody can competently explain. Near Glasgow, a large rock surface is covered with cup and ring markings that may be thousands of years old. The patterns appear simple at first. Then their repetition begins to feel intentional in a way that resists easy explanation. Rings, grooves, and depressions spread across the stone like a system. The problem is that the system has no surviving key. Some researchers suggest maps, territorial signs, star patterns, or ritual markings. None has ended the debate. The stone was once buried again to protect it from damage, which gave it an unusual modern history as well as an ancient one. Some people wonder whether the markings were meant to be touched, traced, or used during ceremonies. Others see a record of landscapes that have changed beyond recognition. The surface is silent, but it does not feel random. It feels like a thought, carefully placed into stone. Skara. Bree vanished beneath sand, with its story unfinished. On Orkney, a prehistoric village was sealed away until a storm revealed it again. The houses were built in stone, with beds, hearths, shelves, and passages that make the settlement feel surprisingly intimate. It is older than many better-known ancient sites, yet it shows a settled life with planning and domestic comfort. The people who lived there farmed, crafted, gathered, and built with impressive skill. Then the site was abandoned, and the exact reasons remain uncertain. Climate change, drifting sand, social disruption, or gradual movement may all have played a role. What grips the imagination is the sudden feeling of nearness. This is not just a monument. It is a place where people slept, worked, and made daily choices. Some people see hints of a larger, lost Orkney culture connected by ritual sites nearby. The village returned from the earth with its rooms intact, but its voices missing. The hypogeum of Malta was built for rituals still misunderstood. Beneath the surface of Malta lies a carved underground complex with chambers shaped by human hands over many generations. It contains spaces that appear ceremonial, with architectural forms that echo temples above ground. The most famous chamber has unusual acoustic properties, which has led many to wonder whether sound played a role in ancient ritual. Human remains were found there, so death was clearly part of the story. Yet the atmosphere of the place suggests something more than storage or burial alone. It may have been a threshold between the living community and an unseen world. Some people believe the builders used vibration, chanting, or altered states of consciousness in ways we barely understand. Others focus on the social meaning of returning ancestors to a sacred underground place. The true ceremonies were never written down. All that remains is carved limestone and a sense that silence itself was designed. Tiwanaku points to an advanced Andean world before the Inca. Long before the Inca became famous, a powerful culture flourished near Lake Titicaca. Its capital included monumental platforms, carved gateways, sunken courts, and finely shaped stone elements. The site suggests complex planning in a difficult high-altitude environment. For many visitors, the most captivating feature is the sense of an earlier civilization with influence that stretched widely across the Andes. The Inca may have inherited stories from this older world, perhaps even treating it as part of sacred memory. Scholars study Tiwanaku through ceramics, architecture, agriculture, and regional connections. Alternative thinkers focus on its precision and its relationship to ancient sky law. Some people believe it preserves fragments of knowledge from a civilization older than the dates usually accepted. Others see a brilliant local society adapted to its environment. What makes the mystery powerful is timing. It reminds us that the Andes had deep histories before the empires most people know. The Serapeum boxes were cut with astonishing stoneworking skill. At Saqqara, underground galleries contain enormous stone boxes made from hard material and finished with remarkable care. They are often described as sarcophagi for sacred bulls, which fits the religious setting. Yet the craftsmanship has become a focus of intense debate. The boxes are heavy, smooth, and made with a precision that some visitors find difficult to reconcile with simple tools. Their placement inside confined tunnels also creates practical questions. How were they moved? How were they finished? Why use such demanding materials for a purpose that could have been served more easily? Some people see the Serapeum as evidence of lost high technology. Others point to generations of Egyptian expertise and the religious importance of perfection. The truth may involve devotion as much as engineering. When an object is made for a god, ordinary effort may not be enough. Even so, the finished stone remains deeply unsettling. Çatalhöyük shows a crowded world with no obvious streets. In ancient Anatolia, people lived in a dense settlement where homes were packed closely together. Instead of streets, residents may have moved across rooftops and entered houses from above. This creates a striking picture of daily life. The community was not a city in the later sense, but it was far more organized than a simple village. Inside the homes, archaeologists found wall paintings, burials beneath floors, and evidence of repeated rebuilding. The closeness of living and the presence of the dead suggest a worldview very different from modern separation. Some people see a society without obvious rulers, where ritual and household identity carried deep power. Others wonder whether the layout reflects defensive needs or symbolic choices. The absence of streets makes the place feel almost like one connected organism. It challenges what people think settlement should look like, and it raises a haunting question about how community first formed. Ancient maps sometimes appear to preserve impossible geographic knowledge. Every so often, an old map seems to show coastlines, islands, or landforms in ways that feel difficult to explain. Some examples have been linked to claims of lost seafaring knowledge, vanished source maps, or memories from earlier ages of exploration. The most famous debates are often controversial because old maps can be distorted, copied, misunderstood, or interpreted too generously. Still, the possibility is tempting. What if medieval or ancient cartographers inherited fragments from much older traditions? What if journeys occurred before the dates we usually accept? Maps are not just records of land. They are records of what someone believed could be known. Some people think a few maps hint at Antarctica, global navigation, or forgotten ocean routes. Skeptics see coincidence and projection. The mystery survives because maps sit between evidence and imagination. A line on parchment can make the whole history of exploration feel less certain. The Bosnian pyramid claim keeps dividing researchers and believers. Near Visoko, a group of hills became famous through the claim that they are ancient pyramids hidden beneath soil. Supporters point to shape, tunnels, stone blocks, and possible alignments. Many archaeologists and geologists strongly reject the interpretation, seeing natural formations and later activity rather than a lost pyramid complex. The disagreement has only made the story more fascinating for the public. It has become a symbol of the clash between established scholarship and alternative history. Some people see the site as evidence of a forgotten European civilization. Others see a lesson in how easily desire can reshape the landscape into a mystery. The tunnels especially keep curiosity alive, because underground spaces always feel like they may lead to something undiscovered. Whether the claim is true or not, it reveals something important. People still long for ancient wonders beneath familiar ground, and sometimes a hill becomes a battlefield of belief. Nabta Playa suggests desert people tracked the heavens very early. In southern Egypt, an ancient stone arrangement stands in what is now harsh desert. When it was used, the region was wetter and supported communities with cattle and seasonal movement. The stones appear to mark directions connected with the sun and possibly the stars. If that interpretation is correct, then people were observing the sky with care long before Egypt's famous monuments rose along the Nile. This changes the feeling of prehistory. It suggests that nomadic or semi-nomadic groups could develop sophisticated traditions without cities, palaces, or writing. Some people see Nabta Playa as an early seed of Egyptian sacred astronomy. Others are cautious about how much can be proven from the surviving stones. The site's power lies in its setting. A place that now feels empty may once have been alive with ritual. The desert did not erase everything. It left just enough stone to suggest an ancient calendar. The Easter Island statues traveled in a way still debated. The Moai of Rapa Nui are among the most recognizable statues on Earth, yet their movement remains a captivating problem. Many were carved in a volcanic quarry and then transported to platforms across the island. Experiments suggest they may have been moved upright with ropes, almost as if they walked. That idea fits local traditions and shows how teamwork could shift heavy figures without modern machinery. Other models involve sledges, rowers, or different stages of transport. The mystery deepens because some statues were abandoned along the routes, leaving frozen moments in the process. Why were so many made? What changed when carving stopped? Some people link the figures to ancestor power, social competition, or sacred authority. Others imagine knowledge that vanished after upheaval. Their faces look inland, toward communities rather than the sea. That detail makes them feel less like decorations and more like watchers over a world under pressure. Mohenjo. Daro holds clues to a civilization without obvious kings. In the Indus Valley, this ancient city was built with streets, drains, wells, and standardized bricks that show impressive planning. Yet it lacks the grand palaces and obvious royal monuments many people expect from early civilizations. That absence is one of its greatest mysteries. Was power shared differently? Were leaders hidden behind institutions we do not recognize? The undeciphered interscript makes the puzzle even harder, because the city cannot yet explain itself in words. Archaeologists can study houses, craft areas, seals, and water systems, but the names of rulers and gods remain uncertain. Some people see a surprisingly ordered society without the usual signs of domination. Others suspect that authority existed in forms that left fewer monuments. The city's decline also remains debated, with environmental change and shifting rivers often discussed. What makes it fascinating is its restraint. It was advanced, organized, and strangely unwilling to boast. The Sajama lines stretch across Bolivia with mysterious geometric intent. Across the high plains of western Bolivia, long straight lines run across the ground for astonishing distances. They connect hills, shrines, and landmarks in ways that suggest deliberate movement through the landscape. Unlike figures drawn for visual drama, these lines seem more like pathways, alignments, or ceremonial routes. Their scale is difficult to grasp from the ground. From above, the pattern becomes more impressive. Some researchers connect them with pilgrimage and sacred geography. Some people wonder whether they form a vast ancient grid, perhaps tied to astronomy or energy points. The landscape itself adds to the sense of mystery, because the lines cross rugged terrain with remarkable commitment. Creating and maintaining them would have required shared purpose. The question is, what purpose held so many paths together? They may not be a message to the sky. They may be a map for the human body moving through sacred space. Ancient Chinese pyramids remain surrounded by limited access and speculation. In central China, large burial mounds have often been described as pyramids by outside observers. Many are linked to imperial tombs and ancient elites, but public access and full excavation can be limited. That restraint is understandable, because opening royal tombs risks damage and raises cultural concerns. Yet secrecy, partial information, and dramatic photographs have helped the sites become magnets for alternative ideas. Some people imagine connections with global pyramid traditions. Others wonder whether hidden chambers preserve knowledge, artifacts, or records that could change history. The most famous tomb landscapes involve powerful rulers whose burial worlds were built to continue authority beyond death. In that context, a mound is not just a grave. It is a planned, underground universe. The mystery grows because so much remains sealed. Archaeology often advances by patience, but curiosity does not like closed doors. These monuments prove that the greatest discoveries may remain deliberately untouched. The Lycurgus cup shows nanotechnology before anyone named it. This Roman glass vessel changes color depending on how light passes through it. In reflected light, it can appear greenish. In transmitted light, it can glow red. Modern study revealed tiny particles of gold and silver within the glass, which interact with light in a way that feels astonishingly advanced. The ancient makers did not use the word nanotechnology, of course. Yet the effect shows a mastery of material behavior that is still impressive today. The biggest question is whether the result was deliberate or partly accidental. If it was deliberate, then Roman craftsmen understood recipes and effects that were rarely preserved in writing. Some people see the cup as proof that ancient artisans possessed scientific knowledge hidden inside luxury objects. Others see craft tradition reaching results through experiment rather than theory. Either way, the cup is a reminder that technology does not always look like machinery. Sometimes it looks like beauty. Chaco Canyon aligns with the sky in ways still studied. In the American Southwest, monumental buildings, roads, and ritual spaces were arranged in a landscape that appears deeply connected to celestial events. Certain features have been linked with solar and lunar cycles, including rare alignments that require long observation. This was not casual sky watching. It suggests generations of attention, memory, and architectural planning. Chaco was also a center of trade and ceremony, drawing materials from far away. Yet its exact role remains debated. Was it a pilgrimage center? Was it a political capital? Was it a sacred landscape designed to mirror the heavens? Some people believe the builders worked with energies of place, as well as astronomy. Others see a social network held together by ritual timing. The canyon's scale adds to the puzzle, because major construction happened in a demanding environment. When the buildings catch the movements of the sky, the whole landscape begins to feel intentional. The Yonaguni monument blurs the line between nature and design. Off the coast of Japan, a submerged rock formation has inspired arguments for decades. It has steps, terraces, straight edges, and surfaces that can look startlingly artificial. Some divers and alternative researchers believe it may be the remains of a lost ancient structure, perhaps linked to a civilization drowned by rising seas. Many geologists argue that the formation is natural, shaped by fractures and erosion in sandstone. The debate continues because the site sits exactly where imagination wants it to be, underwater and difficult to read. If it is natural, it is still a dramatic example of geology imitating architecture. If it was modified by human hands, it would force a major rethink of ancient coastal cultures in the region. The mystery depends on small details. A cut edge, a flat platform, or a possible pathway can shift the feeling instantly. Beneath the waves, certainty becomes harder to hold. Lascaux's paintings may contain one of humanity's oldest star maps. The famous cave art in France is usually admired for its animals, movement, and artistic skill. But some people have suggested that certain patterns may also reflect constellations or celestial events. This idea remains debated, yet it is fascinating because it treats Ice Age artists as observers of the heavens, not just painters of animals. The cave may have held stories that joined the living world with the sky above it. Mainstream interpretations often focus on ritual, hunting symbolism, trance experience, or social meaning. The star map idea adds another possibility. Perhaps some images carried layered knowledge that could be understood in more than one way. A painted bull might be an animal, a mythic figure, and a marker in the sky. We cannot ask the artists what they intended. the cave keeps its distance. What it offers is evidence that ancient minds were anything but simple. Ancient Roman concrete outlasted materials that came much later. Roman harbor structures and buildings have survived conditions that would damage many modern materials. For a long time, this seemed like another example of Roman practicality. Then researchers began to understand that the recipe itself had unusual strengths. Volcanic ash, lime, and seawater could create mineral reactions that helped some concrete become stronger over time. That is remarkable because it suggests ancient builders worked with the environment rather than merely resisting it. The mystery is how much they understood and how much came from inherited craft knowledge. Some people see lost engineering wisdom that modern industry is only beginning to appreciate again. Others view it as the result of long experimentation across the empire. Either way, the survival of the material changes the way we see ancient technology. It was not always cruder than ours. In certain situations, it was wiser, more durable, and almost embarrassingly effective. The Ubaid figurines inspire theories about strange prehistoric identities. In ancient Mesopotamia, small clay figures were made with elongated heads, narrow bodies, and faces that some viewers describe as reptilian. They are not grand monuments. They are intimate objects, often found in domestic or burial contexts. That makes their strangeness more interesting. Were they representations of people with stylized features? Were they deities, ancestors, protective beings, or symbolic figures connected with fertility and identity? Mainstream interpretations stay cautious because stylized art can easily be misunderstood through modern eyes. Yet the figures have become favorites in alternative history circles. Some people imagine non-human visitors, hybrid beings, or memories of entities later transformed into myth. The reality may be more grounded, but the emotional effect remains powerful. These objects show that prehistoric communities pictured the body in ways that do not fit modern expectations. Small artifacts can be more unsettling than giant monuments because they feel personal and close. Newgrange captures winter sunlight with deliberate, ancient precision. In Ireland, a great passage tomb was designed so that light enters its inner chamber at the winter solstice. The event lasts only a short time, but the effect is powerful. It shows that the builders understood the movement of the sun and shaped stone architecture around a specific moment in the year. The monument is older than many famous ancient structures, which makes its precision even more striking. It was not only a tomb. It was a place where darkness and sunlight were arranged into a yearly experience. Some people see it as a rebirth ritual. Others connect it with ancestors, seasonal renewal, or a deeper cosmology. The roof box that admits the light is especially fascinating because it reveals careful planning. This was not accidental alignment. It was architecture timed to the sky. Once a year, the chamber becomes a message about return. The Temple of Jupiter includes stones too large for comfort. At Balbeck, the Roman temple complex rises above a platform that includes some of the largest worked stones in the ancient world. Their presence continues to trouble simple explanations. A massive temple could have been built using smaller blocks, so the choice feels symbolic, technical, or perhaps inherited from an earlier stage of construction. Roman engineering was certainly capable, yet the sheer size of these stones invites awe. Nearby quarry blocks show that the builders were thinking on a scale that still seems extravagant. Some people believe the platform predates the Romans and belongs to a more mysterious tradition. Others argue that imperial ambition alone explains the scale. The stones force us to consider how ancient builders thought about permanence. They did not merely want a foundation. They wanted something that felt immovable. That desire created a puzzle that modern minds still circle, because the blocks seem almost too large for history. Ancient Peruvians performed cranial surgery with surprising survival evidence. In parts of ancient Peru, skulls have been found with openings made by careful surgical procedures. Even more remarkable, many show signs of healing, which means patients survived. This challenges the idea that ancient medicine was only superstition. These communities understood pain, injury, tools, infection risk, and the body's ability to recover. The practice may have been used after warfare, accidents, or illness. It may also have carried ritual meaning. The mystery lies in the combination of medical skill and cultural belief. How did practitioners learn which methods worked? How were patients treated afterward? What knowledge was passed from healer to healer? Some people see evidence of a lost medical tradition that deserves far more respect. Others emphasize long experience gained through necessity. Either way, the healed skulls are astonishing. They are not just remains. They are survival stories written in bone, showing courage on both sides of the procedure. The Tarim mummies complicate old ideas about ancient migrations. In the deserts of Western China, naturally preserved mummies revealed clothing, features, and cultural traces that surprised many researchers. They suggested that ancient movement across Eurasia was more complex than older models allowed. Some individuals wore woven textiles with patterns that invited comparison to distant traditions. Their presence raised questions about trade, ancestry, language, and contact across wide landscapes. The mystery is not simply who they were. It is how many paths connected ancient peoples long before modern borders made the map feel fixed. Genetic studies have added detail, but the public fascination remains tied to appearance and preservation. Some people see the mummies as proof of forgotten migrations from the West. Others caution that identity in prehistory rarely fits simple categories. The desert kept their bodies with unusual clarity, yet their social world remains hard to reconstruct. They remind us that ancient populations were moving, meeting, and changing in ways still being uncovered. Catalan maps once showed islands that nobody can locate. Medieval charts sometimes included islands that appear confidently drawn, named, and placed, yet cannot be matched with any known land today. These phantom islands were not always random mistakes. Some may have come from sailor reports, misunderstood coastlines, copying errors, or lands that were believed to exist because older sources said so. The mystery grows when the same island appears again and again across different maps. Did cartographers repeat a false tradition, or were they preserving memories of places later lost, renamed, or hidden in distorted geography? Some people imagine secret voyages, suppressed discoveries, or ancient knowledge passed through map-making circles. More cautious explanations point toward fog, mirages, reefs, and human imagination filling empty ocean. If a map has authority, when an island is drawn with confidence, it feels almost real. These missing lands remind us that exploration history is partly built from absence, belief, and coastline shaped by rumor. The Copper Scroll may describe treasure that has never surfaced. Among the Dead Sea discoveries, one text stands apart because it was written on thin copper rather than parchment. Its content is even stranger. It appears to list hidden deposits of valuable objects, with locations described in a way that seems practical but maddeningly difficult to match with the modern landscape. Some scholars think it records temple treasure concealed during a time of danger. Others wonder whether the numbers are symbolic, exaggerated, or connected to a tradition we no longer understand. The text feels less like scripture and more like instructions from someone who expected retrieval. That gives it a remarkable sense of urgency. Some people imagine secret caches still sealed under desert ground. Others believe the treasure was found long ago and never reported. The real puzzle is whether the list points to physical wealth or a lost system of sacred meaning. Either way, the copper keeps its secret. Akhenaten's city was built quickly and abandoned almost completely. In ancient Egypt, a pharaoh broke with tradition and created a new capital devoted to the Aten. The city rose with unusual speed, filled with palaces, temples, homes, workshops, and official buildings. Then, after his reign ended, it was largely deserted. That makes the site feel like a political experiment frozen in time. It shows how royal power could redirect a whole society, but also how quickly that vision could be rejected. The art from the period looks different from earlier royal images, with elongated bodies and intimate family scenes. Some people see spiritual revolution. Others see controlled propaganda from a ruler remaking reality around himself. Alternative thinkers sometimes wonder whether Akhenaten's ideas came from an outside source, because his religious shift feels so dramatic. The ruins offer rare access to ordinary streets, as well as royal ambition. A city created for a new truth became evidence of how fragile truth can be. The Sealand skull has inspired debate about disease and identity. A human skull found in Denmark became famous because its shape seemed unusual enough to spark speculation beyond ordinary archaeology. Some observers wondered whether it showed rare medical conditions, deliberate shaping, or ancestry from a population not expected in the region. As with many strange remains, the most dramatic ideas outran the evidence. Yet the object still opens an interesting question about how quickly we interpret ancient bodies through modern assumptions. A skull can be affected by illness, genetics, preservation, pressure, injury, or cultural practice. Without complete context, certainty becomes difficult. Some people have treated it as a hint of unknown human types or hidden migrations. More cautious voices see an individual with a complicated biological story. What makes the case fascinating is the way one find can become a mirror. It shows how badly people want physical proof that the human past was stranger than the official categories allow. Ancient Indian stepwells combine engineering, geometry, and hidden ritual meaning. Across India, deep wells were built with descending stairs, carved walls, and carefully arranged spaces that turned water access into architecture. On the practical level, they solved a serious problem by reaching groundwater during dry periods. But many of them feel far more meaningful than simple utilities. Their shapes create a journey downward, toward coolness, shadow, and the life-giving source below. Some were attached to temples. Others became gathering places where daily survival and sacred symbolism met. The geometry can be astonishing, with repeating steps forming patterns that seem almost mathematical in their elegance. Some people see stepwells as diagrams of the universe, journeys into the underworld, or monuments to feminine divinity. Scholars often focus on patronage, climate, and local devotion. Both views can coexist. A structure can serve a village and still hold mystery. These wells remind us that ancient engineering often carried a spiritual purpose beneath practical design. The Diquis spheres were shaped with unknown symbolic purpose. In Costa Rica, nearly perfect stone balls were found across ancient landscapes, sometimes in groups, and sometimes moved from their original settings. Their smoothness and scale make them immediately compelling. Many were carved from hard stone, and some are large enough to suggest serious labor and planning. The biggest question is what they meant. They may have marked rank, territory, astronomical ideas, or important places within settlement patterns. Because many were disturbed before careful study, their original arrangements are often hard to reconstruct. That loss has created room for speculation. Some people imagine global alignments, lost navigation systems, or contact with knowledge beyond the local culture. Others see social symbols made by skilled craftspeople for powerful communities. The mystery is sharpened by simplicity. A sphere has no inscription, face, or scene. It offers pure form. That makes it easy to admire and difficult to explain. Thonis Heraklion disappeared underwater with temples, ships, and statues. For centuries, this Egyptian port was known through ancient texts, but its physical remains seemed almost legendary. Then, underwater archaeology revealed a sunken city near the Nile Delta. Divers found temple remains, colossal statues, inscriptions, anchors, and shipwrecks resting beneath the sea. The discovery was astonishing because it turned a half-lost name into a real urban world. The city had been a gateway between Egypt and the Mediterranean, a place of trade, pilgrimage, and royal ceremony. Its disappearance was likely tied to unstable ground, rising water, and natural forces that slowly overcame the coast. Yet the image of temples beneath the waves invites deeper wonder. Some people see it as proof that the ancient shoreline hides more cities than we imagine. Others connect it with stories of drowned civilizations. Here, the mystery is also a warning. A place can be central to history, then vanish until the sea gives it back. The London hammer fuels arguments about misplaced ancient objects. A hammer found encased in rock became famous among people who search for objects that seem to appear in the wrong time period. The claim is dramatic. If a human-made tool were genuinely trapped in ancient stone millions of years old, history would need rewriting. Mainstream explanations are far more ordinary. The surrounding material may have formed around the hammer through mineral processes much more recently. Even so, the object remains popular because it represents a powerful idea. What if some artifacts are dismissed too quickly because they threaten the timeline? Some people see the hammer as a sign of forgotten humanity, ancient industry, or evidence that dating assumptions can mislead. Skeptics see a modern object in a misleading geological setting. The fascination is not only about the hammer itself. It is about the category it belongs to, the so-called out-of-place artifact, where a single object seems to challenge the entire structure. Abydo's carvings became famous for shapes that resemble machines. Inside an Egyptian temple, certain overlapping hieroglyphs created forms that modern viewers have compared with helicopters, aircraft, and advanced vehicles. The mainstream explanation is that the shapes resulted from recarving and plaster loss, where one royal inscription was replaced by another. That explanation is strong and practical. Yet the images became famous because the resemblance is instantly striking. Once people see machines in the marks, it can be hard to unsee them. This is a perfect example of how archaeology and imagination can collide. Ancient writing has its own rules, but modern eyes bring modern expectations. Some people believe the carvings reveal prophetic knowledge, lost technology, or records of flying craft in antiquity. Others see a visual accident transformed by wishful thinking. The enduring mystery is psychological as much as archaeological. A damaged inscription became a doorway into the question of whether the past knew more than it should. The Hittite capital hides secrets in underground chambers and inscriptions. At Hattusa, the ancient Hittite capital in Anatolia, massive walls, gates, temples, and royal spaces reveal a powerful Bronze Age state. Yet some of its most intriguing features lie in carved chambers and mysterious passages. The sanctuary nearby contains processions of gods cut into stone, showing a world of divine order that is still being interpreted. Inscriptions help identify rulers and events, but they do not explain every symbolic choice. The underground spaces may have served ritual purposes linked with the underworld, kingship, or sacred protection. Some people wonder whether the capital was designed as a spiritual machine, with gates, chambers, and images guiding unseen forces. More conventional readings emphasize royal ceremony and political theology. The fall of the Hittite world adds another layer because their power vanished during a time of regional upheaval. The ruins feel like a recovered archive, but many of its most important pages remain unreadable. Ancient Sardinia's Nuraghi towers still lack one agreed purpose. Across Sardinia stand thousands of stone towers built during the Bronze Age. They are sturdy, distinctive, and often placed in ways that suggest control of land, community identity, or ritual importance. Some look defensive. Others feel ceremonial. Many were part of larger settlements, which makes any single explanation too simple. The builders left no written account that clearly tells us why these towers mattered so much. That silence gives the landscape its fascination. Some scholars see them as fortresses, elite residences, watchtowers, or symbols of local power. Some people imagine energy sites, star-linked monuments, or remnants of a society connected with lost Mediterranean legends. The sheer number is what makes the mystery powerful. One tower could be a local experiment. Thousands suggest a cultural obsession. Whatever their purpose, the Nuraghi show a society that expressed itself in stone again and again, as if each tower declared belonging, memory, and authority. The Goseck Circle shows Europe tracking the sun remarkably early. In Germany, archaeologists uncovered a prehistoric circular enclosure with carefully placed openings. These gateways appear to align with sunrise and sunset at the winter solstice. That makes the site one of the earliest known examples of sky-related monumental planning in Europe. It was built from posts, ditches, and earth rather than giant stones, so it may have looked less permanent than later monuments. Yet its purpose could have been just as serious. The builders were watching the year turn, marking time through architecture, and perhaps gathering for rituals tied to darkness and renewal. Some people see it as part of a wide prehistoric tradition of solar knowledge. Others focus on farming communities that needed seasonal timing and shared ceremony. The mystery comes from the blend of practical and sacred. A calendar can tell people when to act, but a sacred calendar can tell them why the whole world still has order. Kataher-Yuk burials reveal rituals that still feel deeply mysterious. In this ancient Anatolian settlement, the dead were often placed beneath house floors, keeping ancestors physically close to daily life. This was not a cemetery separated from the living. It was memory built into the home itself. Some skulls were later removed, handled, and sometimes replastered, suggesting complex rituals of identity and remembrance. The practice challenges modern instincts because it blends family space with the presence of earlier generations. Archaeologists study patterns of age, sex, placement, and household change, but the inner meaning remains difficult to grasp. Were these ancestors protectors? Were they claims to property? Were they part of a spiritual relationship that continued after death? Some people believe the settlement preserved a form of consciousness about lineage that modern society has lost. Others see social structure expressed through burial customs. The most fascinating part is how ordinary it may have been. For them, home and ancestry were the same place. The ICA stones remain controversial artifacts with extraordinary carved scenes. In Peru, engraved stones became famous for images that appear to show ancient people alongside unusual animals, advanced knowledge, and scenes that do not fit accepted history. Supporters claim they preserve records from a forgotten civilization. Critics argue that many were modern creations made for collectors and tourists. The controversy is intense because the images are so dramatic. If authentic in the way believers suggest, they would overturn major assumptions about the past. If not, they reveal how easily mystery can be manufactured when desire meets a market. Some people still wonder whether a few genuine stones inspired later imitations. which would make the story more complicated. Mainstream archaeology remains unconvinced, especially because secure excavation context is lacking. Yet the stones continue to fascinate because they ask a dangerous question. How do we separate evidence from story when the story is exactly what many people hope to find? Roman dodecahedrons have no accepted use after centuries of debate. These small bronze objects with 12 faces and circular openings of different sizes have been found across parts of the former Roman world. They are carefully made, but ancient texts do not clearly explain them. That silence is surprising because Roman life is otherwise richly documented. Theories have ranged from measuring devices and candle holders to gaming objects, religious tools, glove-making aids, or status symbols. None has convinced everyone. Their distribution suggests they were known in certain regions, but not universal across the empire. That pattern deepens the puzzle. Were they part of a local tradition within Roman culture? Were they used by specialists whose knowledge was not written down? Some people imagine astronomical instruments or secret ritual objects. The appeal lies in their elegant strangeness. They look technical, but they behave like riddles. A small artifact can sometimes be harder to explain than an entire building. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang stays mostly unopened today. The first emperor of China was buried in a vast complex guarded by the famous terracotta army. Yet the central tomb mound itself remains largely unexcavated. Ancient accounts describe a spectacular underground realm, including rivers of mercury and a miniature empire arranged for eternity. Modern tests have detected unusually high mercury levels in the area, which makes the old description feel less like fantasy. Archaeologists have been cautious because excavation could damage fragile materials once they meet air, light, and moisture. That restraint has made the unopened tomb one of the greatest archaeological temptations on Earth. Some people imagine hidden texts, machines, star maps, or treasures beyond anything yet found. Others focus on the cultural responsibility of waiting until methods improve. The mystery is unusual because it is not lost. It is there, known, and sealed. Its silence is chosen. One day it may speak, but not yet. Ancient obsidian mirrors may have served science, ritual, or prophecy. Obsidian can be polished into a dark, reflective surface, and ancient cultures used it for objects that feel both practical and mysterious. A mirror made from volcanic glass does not reflect like modern silvered glass. It gives an image that can seem deep, shadowed, and slightly otherworldly. In Mesoamerica, obsidian carried strong associations with power, sacrifice, divination, and the god Tezcatlipoca. In other contexts, reflective stones may have been used for status or ritual seeing. The question is how people experienced them. Were they tools for grooming, symbols of authority, instruments for trance, or devices for communicating with the unseen? Some people believe obsidian mirrors were used to access hidden knowledge through altered states. Historians can trace later magical uses, but earlier meanings remain harder to recover. The material itself helps explain the fascination. It is born from volcanic fire, sharpened into blades and polished into darkness. The Vinci symbols challenge simple ideas about the birth of writing. Across sites in southeastern Europe, marks appear on pottery, figurines, and other objects from a very early period. They are not random scratches. Many repeat in ways that suggest shared meaning. The debate is whether they represent true writing, proto-writing, ownership marks, ritual signs, or something else entirely. This matters because accepted writing systems usually begin later in Mesopotamia and Egypt. If the Vinci marks carried structured language, then the story of writing would need serious revision. Many scholars remain cautious because symbols are not automatically writing. Still, the marks show that prehistoric communities were using visual systems with intention. Some people imagine a lost European script that disappeared before history began. Others see sacred signs linked with identity, exchange, or ceremony. The mystery is gripping because it sits at the boundary between image and language. At what point does a mark stop being a symbol and begin to speak? Göbekli. Teep's buried pillars suggest a deliberate ancient farewell. One of the strangest features of the site is not only that it was built, but that it was carefully covered over. Huge enclosures were filled with material, sealing carved pillars and preserving them for thousands of years. This was not simple abandonment. It looks like an intentional act. That raises a powerful question. Why would people bury a place that had required so much effort to create? Some explanations are practical, involving changing needs, new phases of construction, or the ritual closing of sacred spaces. Others feel more dramatic. Some people imagine a warning, a shift in belief, or an attempt to hide knowledge from future generations. The buried state helped protect the carvings, almost as if the builders accidentally sent them to us through time. Yet preservation may not have been their goal. They may have been ending a relationship with the place, not saving it. The underground city of Göbekli protected thousands from forgotten threats. Cappadocia contains more than one subterranean refuge, and Göbekli is among the most remarkable. Its tunnels, rooms, storage areas, and ventilation shafts show careful planning for long periods below ground. The layout is not simple. It narrows, turns, and divides in ways that could slow attackers and guide residents who knew the system. Heavy, round doors could block passages from inside. This was architecture shaped by fear, endurance, and social organization. Historians connect the city with waves of conflict and communities seeking safety. Yet the emotional question remains. What does it do to a culture when survival depends on disappearing beneath the earth? Some people wonder whether these underground networks preserve memories of older catastrophes, not just historical raids. The spaces are practical, but they feel psychological too. They suggest a world where danger was expected, preparation was communal, and the safest horizon was not outward, but downward. Ancient Egyptian stone vessels show workmanship that still inspires debate. Long before some of Egypt's most famous monuments, craftspeople produced bowls, jars, and vessels from hard stones that are difficult to shape. Many are thin, symmetrical, and beautifully finished. Some have narrow openings and hollow interiors that seem challenging even with modern tools. Conventional explanations involve abrasive materials, bow drills, patient grinding, and exceptional workshop skill. That may be enough, but the finest pieces still surprise people because they appear almost machine perfect. The mystery deepens because these objects are not massive monuments. They are portable artifacts that reveal what ancient hands could do at a smaller scale. Some people see evidence for lathes or lost mechanical methods. Others argue that modern observers underestimate slow craft traditions. Either way, the vessels prove that early Egyptian artisans were not learning clumsily. They had already mastered materials that resist easy handling. A simple bowl can become a technical confession from a vanished workshop. The Fuente Magna bowl became a magnet for alternative history. A stone vessel reportedly found in Bolivia became famous because its markings were claimed by some to resemble ancient writing from Mesopotamia. If that connection were genuine, it would suggest contact across oceans in a period when such contact is not accepted by mainstream history. That possibility is exactly why the bowl became so controversial. Questions about its discovery, context, and interpretation make it difficult to treat as firm evidence. Yet its story has spread because it touches one of the biggest alternative history themes. Were ancient civilizations more connected than we believe? Some people see the bowl as a trace of Sumerian visitors in South America. Others consider it a misread artifact with an uncertain background. The real fascination lies in the stakes. A few markings on a small object could either mean very little, or they could point toward a forgotten chapter of global travel. Minoan palaces hint at a powerful culture with undeciphered records. On Crete, the Bronze Age Minoans built complex palace centers with storage rooms, painted walls, courtyards, workshops, and signs of wide trade. Their art feels lively and distinctive, yet their deeper political and religious life remains partly hidden. One reason is the writing system known as Linear A. It has not been fully deciphered. Without it, the Minoans remain present and unreachable at the same time. We can see their buildings and objects, but we cannot fully hear their official voice. Some interpretations emphasize trade, ritual performance, and elite control of goods. Some people imagine a culture shaped by goddess worship, sea power, and secret initiation. The palaces were damaged and rebuilt, then eventually overtaken by larger changes in the Aegean world. The mystery is not whether Minoan civilization was impressive. It clearly was. The mystery is what it believed about itself, because its own words remain locked. The Phaistos disc remains one of archaeology's most famous unread messages. Found on Crete, this fired clay disc is covered on both sides with stamped symbols arranged in a spiral. The object is unique enough to be frustrating. With no clear parallel text, decipherment becomes extremely difficult. The signs include human figures, tools, plants, animals, and other forms that seem organized but not understood. It may be a hymn, a ritual text, a game, a calendar, a charm, or something entirely different. Some scholars doubt whether it can ever be securely read unless related material appears. Some people have proposed dramatic translations, but none has achieved wide acceptance. Its method of stamping is also intriguing because it feels almost like movable type before anything of the kind should exist. The disc's fame comes from that combination of order and silence. It is obviously trying to communicate. It also refuses to tell us the rules of the conversation. Ancient Baghdad's round city vanished almost completely from the ground. When the Abbasid caliphs founded Baghdad, they created a circular capital that became one of the great centers of the medieval world. Historical sources describe its gates, walls, palace, mosque, and planned geometry. Yet the original round city is largely gone beneath later development and the long life of the modern city. This creates an unusual archaeological problem. One of history's most important urban designs is known more through texts than through visible remains. Its circular plan may have carried political, cosmic, and symbolic meaning. A ruler at the center of a planned world is a powerful image. Some people wonder whether the design reflected older sacred geometry or hidden astronomical ideas. Others see a statement of imperial order. Because the ground has been transformed so completely, excavation is difficult. The vanished city reminds us that not every lost place is buried in wilderness. Some are hidden under living streets. The Kensington runestone keeps stirring arguments about early visitors. In Minnesota, a carved stone with runic writing was presented as evidence that Scandinavian explorers reached deep into North America long before the usual historical timeline allows. The inscription claims a medieval date, which would make it extraordinary if authentic. Many scholars have argued that it is a later creation, based on language, context, and discovery concerns. Yet supporters continue to defend it, pointing to details they believe deserve another look. The debate has lasted because it connects with a thrilling possibility. What if North America saw more pre-Columbian visitors than the stand-up story admits? Norse presence in Newfoundland is established, but the runestone would imply movement far inland. Some people see it as suppressed evidence of forgotten exploration. Others see a clever or misunderstood artifact from a much later period. The stone's power comes from geography. It places an old-world message in a place where many think it should not be. Lake Titicaca legends echo through ruins beneath Andean skies. High in the Andes, Lake Titicaca is surrounded by archaeological sites and origin stories that give it a powerful place in regional memory. In Inca tradition, it was connected with beginnings, sacred ancestors, and the emergence of divine authority. Beneath and around its waters, researchers have found submerged structures and offerings that suggest long ritual importance. The lake was not merely scenery. It was part of a living, sacred landscape. Some people believe it preserves memories of a much older civilization, perhaps one whose centers were changed or swallowed by rising water. Others connect the region with Tiwanaku and wider Andean ceremonial networks. The altitude adds to the wonder, because this huge body of water sits in a place that already feels removed from ordinary geography. Legends may not be literal history, but they can point toward remembered importance. At Titicaca, myth and archaeology keep meeting at the shoreline. The Dispilio tablet may preserve marks older than accepted writing. Found near a lakeside settlement in Greece, this wooden artifact carries incised markings that some believe could represent a very early form of symbolic communication. Its date makes it especially intriguing, because it may be older than the writing systems most people learn about first. The difficulty is interpretation. Marks on an object can be meaningful without being full writing. They might record ownership, counting, ritual signs, or a memory aid. Still, their careful placement suggests intention rather than accident. Wood rarely survives from such ancient contexts, so the object may represent a category of material culture that usually disappears. Some people imagine a lost European tradition of early script carried on perishable surfaces. Scholars remain cautious, and caution is necessary. Yet the tablet asks a major question in a small space. How many beginnings of writing failed, vanished, or never developed into the systems that shaped recorded history? Ancient skulls with elongated shapes still provoke dramatic explanations. Across different cultures, archaeologists have found skulls shaped by intentional head binding during infancy. The practice could signal status, beauty, group identity, or spiritual meaning. Because the results can look so unusual, they have inspired theories about non-human ancestry, lost bloodlines, or imitation of strange beings remembered in myth. The accepted explanation is cultural modification in many cases, and there is strong evidence for that. Yet, not every elongated skull has the same story. Some may reflect natural variation or medical conditions. Others carry local meanings we cannot fully recover. What makes the topic so compelling is the effort involved. A community chose to shape the body from early life, turning identity into bone. Some people believe they were copying gods or visitors with naturally different heads. Others see social symbolism taken to an extreme. Either way, these remains show how deeply ancient people could alter appearance to express belonging. The waffle rock pattern looks too strange for easy answers. In West Virginia, a large sandstone slab displays a striking grid pattern that looks artificial at first glance. The name comes from its repeated raised lines, which resemble a giant waffle. Geologists explain the pattern through natural processes involving cracks, mineral filling, and erosion. That explanation is plausible, but the visual effect is so unusual that the rock became a favorite among people who search for hidden structures and ancient technology. Some have imagined fossilized machinery, a lost pavement, or evidence of human work from an impossible age. The rock does not need to be man-made to be fascinating. It shows how nature can create forms that challenge the eye. Yet the reason it belongs in the mystery conversation is simple. Human beings are pattern seekers. When we see geometry in stone, we wonder whether intelligence stood behind it. Sometimes the mystery is not only in the rock, it is in our reaction. Maugar reveals ancient dentistry long before modern expectations. In present-day Pakistan, discoveries at this early settlement showed teeth that had been drilled with surprising care. The work appears to have been done on living people, which means someone understood both pain and precision. This is not the kind of detail most people imagine when they picture Neolithic life. It suggests a community where practical knowledge developed through observation, repetition, and trust. Tiny holes in molars may not sound dramatic at first, but they change the emotional scale of the past. A patient had to sit still. A practitioner had to guide a tool. A culture had to accept that the body could be repaired by skill. Some people see this as evidence that ancient medicine was far more advanced than we usually allow. Others see inventive craft applied to a basic human problem. Either way, the human story is astonishing. The first dentists may be much older than expected. The White Shaman mural may record a complex spiritual journey. In Texas, a painted rock shelter contains a panel that has fascinated researchers for decades. The imagery is not casual decoration. It appears to follow a structured vision involving figures, symbols, and transformations that may connect with ancient belief. Some interpretations link it with indigenous cosmology and ceremonial experience. Others suggest it records a narrative that only trained members of the culture could understand. The challenge is that the original storytellers are gone, and the symbols were never explained in writing. That leaves modern viewers standing before a message they can feel but not fully read. Some people believe the mural preserves an altered state, perhaps a journey between worlds. More cautious readings focus on ritual tradition and shared myth. What makes it powerful is its scale of intention. Someone used the rock face as a lasting surface for meaning. The painting may not show a scene. It may show an experience. Ancient Babylon tracked the planets with remarkable mathematical sophistication. Long before telescopes, Babylonian observers watched the movements of celestial bodies with patient discipline. They recorded patterns on clay tablets and developed methods for predicting planetary behavior. This was not casual stargazing. It was organized knowledge built across generations. Some tablets show calculations so advanced that modern historians have had to rethink the development of mathematical astronomy. The sky was not only beautiful to them, it was measurable, meaningful, and connected with power on Earth. Priests and scholars may have used planetary cycles to advise rulers or interpret omens. Some people wonder whether Babylon preserved knowledge inherited from even older skywatchers. Others see the slow triumph of careful record-keeping. Either way, the achievement is extraordinary. With simple instruments and long attention, they turned the night sky into data. Their work proves that ancient science could be both sacred and sharply practical at the same time. The Dead Sea Scrolls transformed history while leaving puzzles behind. When ancient manuscripts were found in caves near the Dead Sea, they changed the study of religion, language, and Jewish history. The scrolls preserved biblical texts, community writings, rules, hymns, and interpretations from a world under pressure. Their survival feels almost miraculous because fragile material rarely lasts so long. The dry caves became accidental archives. Yet the discoveries also raised questions. Who hid them? Were they connected with a particular community? Did the collection belong to a settlement nearby, or were the manuscripts brought from elsewhere during crisis? Scholars have debated these issues for years. Some people believe the scrolls conceal ideas later suppressed by powerful religious authorities. Others see a diverse library that reflects a complicated spiritual age. What makes them gripping is their closeness to familiar traditions. They are not legends from nowhere. They are voices from a turning point, still whispering through torn parchment. Great Zimbabwe challenges old assumptions about African engineering and power. In southern Africa, vast stone walls and towers rise from a city that once controlled trade and authority across a wide region. For a long time, outsiders refused to believe local African builders created it. That denial says more about later prejudice than about the site itself. Archaeology has shown that it belonged to a sophisticated society with wealth, organization, and far-reaching connections. The stonework was built without mortar, yet it stands with impressive strength and rhythm. The mystery is not whether its builders were capable. They clearly were. The deeper question is how power worked there, and what meanings shaped the famous enclosures. Some people see hidden astronomy, sacred kingship, or memories of a lost golden age. Others focus on trade networks and political control. The ruins remain a corrective to lazy history. They show that entire chapters of achievement can be overlooked when the wrong people tell the story. The Lameki tools pushed human technology further back in time. Stone tools found in Kenya are so old that they appear to predate the genus Homo as usually understood. That makes them deeply unsettling in the best possible way. Tool making was once treated as a defining human trait, but these finds suggest earlier relatives may have been shaping stone before humans existed in the familiar sense. The tools are large and rough, yet they show intention. Someone selected material. Someone struck stone against stone. Someone discovered that the world could be altered by a planned action. The mystery is who made them and what mental abilities were required. Some people wonder whether intelligence emerged in several experimental branches rather than one neat line. Others see a gradual awakening of manual skill long before language or civilization. A broken stone might look simple in a museum case. In truth, it may mark the moment when a mind began redesigning nature. Ancient cave handprints may preserve identities we rarely imagine. Deep inside painted caves, human hands appear as stencils and prints left against the rock. They are among the most direct contacts we have with Ice Age people. Unlike animal paintings or abstract signs, a handprint is immediate. It says someone stood here. The mystery lies in who those people were and why they left these marks in difficult places. Studies of finger proportions have suggested that some prints may belong to women, children, or adolescents, though interpretations remain debated. That matters because older stories often imagined prehistoric art as the work of male hunters alone. Some people see the prints as signatures, initiations, prayers, or attempts to touch a spirit world through stone. Others view them as social marks made during shared ceremonies. Their power comes from scale. A whole lost life can be felt in the outline of one palm, held against darkness. The Hagar Kim temples align with the sun in striking ways. On Malta, ancient temple builders arranged stone architecture so that sunlight enters and marks particular moments in the year. These structures are older than many famous monuments, and their forms show a deep concern with orientation, ceremony, and movement through sacred space. The stones are weathered now, but the design still carries intention. At certain times, light interacts with doorways and chambers in ways that appear planned. That suggests careful observation of the sun across seasons. It also suggests that ritual timing mattered to the people who gathered there. Some people connect the temples with fertility, earth energies, or a vanished island priesthood. Others focus on agricultural calendars and community ceremonies. What makes the site fascinating is how small Malta becomes immense through its ancient architecture. These were island communities, yet they produced a monumental tradition that still feels confident, sophisticated, and filled with meaning we only partly understand. Lost Roman roads keep appearing beneath modern fields and cities. The Roman world was connected by routes built for soldiers, officials, traders, and messages. Many are known, but others have vanished beneath farms, suburbs, forests, and later streets. When remote sensing or excavation reveals a forgotten road, it can change the map of ancient movement. A line in the ground may explain why a settlement grew, why a fort stood nearby, or how goods traveled faster than expected. Roads were more than stone surfaces. They were instruments of control. They allowed an empire to think across distance. Some people wonder whether undiscovered routes still hide links to lost towns or secret military sites. Archaeologists use soil marks, old maps, aerial images, and ground surveys to trace them. The excitement comes from recognition. A modern landscape may look ordinary, but beneath it lies a buried system of direction. The past is still carrying traffic, only now it moves through evidence. The Temple of Seti contains inscriptions that became alternative history icons. At Abydos, certain damaged carvings have become famous because modern viewers see shapes resembling advanced machines. The standard explanation involves overlapping inscriptions from different reigns, where altered names and eroded plaster created misleading forms. That explanation is convincing for many Egyptologists. Yet the site remains important because it shows how quickly an archaeological detail can become a cultural symbol. People who doubt the official story see the carvings as possible evidence that ancient Egyptians knew of flying craft or future technology. Others see a lesson in how the eye can transform broken writing into familiar objects. The temple itself is a masterpiece of sacred architecture, which gives the controversy a serious setting. The unusual shapes are not found in isolation. They sit inside a place made for kingship, memory, and divine order. Whether accident or revelation, they keep asking why ancient stone so often seems to know our modern dreams. Ancient Troy was discovered after many scholars doubted it existed. For centuries, Troy lived between literature and history. Many treated it as a place of epic imagination, rather than a real city with layers of human occupation. Then excavations in northwest Anatolia revealed a mound containing successive settlements, fortifications, and evidence of a long and complicated past. The discovery did not prove every detail of the famous war stories. It did something more interesting. It showed that legend could preserve a memory of a real place. The challenge has always been matching archaeology with poetry. Which layer was the Troy of tradition? Was there one great conflict, or did many struggles become fused into a single story? Some people see this as proof that myths should be read more seriously. Others warn that memory changes as it travels through song. The site matters because it stands at the border between imagination and evidence. Sometimes a story points toward buried stone. The Etruscans left a rich culture with an uncertain origin. Before Rome became dominant, the Etruscans shaped central Italy with cities, tombs, art, metalwork, and religious traditions that deeply influenced the Romans. Yet their origin has long been debated. Ancient writers offered different claims, and modern studies have added complexity rather than a simple final answer. Their language is only partly understood, which keeps their inner world distant. We can see their painted tombs, read some inscriptions, and trace their political power, but their deeper self-explanation remains incomplete. Some people imagine them as migrants from the East, bearers of older wisdom, or heirs to a forgotten Mediterranean network. Others see strong local development with outside contacts. Their rituals of divination fascinated Rome, especially the reading of signs in nature. That gives them an aura of hidden knowledge. The mystery is not that they vanished completely. It is that they are everywhere behind Rome, yet still partly beyond reach. Hidden chambers may still remain inside the Great Pyramid. Modern scanning has revealed voids and anomalies inside Egypt's most famous monument, and those findings have renewed one of archaeology's most irresistible questions. Could there be rooms still untouched within the stone mass? The known passages already feel carefully planned, but the structure is so vast that it may hold spaces no one has entered in modern times. Some experts suggest construction gaps or relieving spaces. Others wonder whether unknown chambers could hold ritual meaning, technical secrets, or evidence about the pyramid's true purpose. The difficulty is access. Any investigation must avoid damaging one of the world's most important monuments. That makes the mystery unusually tense. We may have the technology to detect something, yet not the permission or method to reach it. Some people imagine records, tools, or symbolic spaces sealed for millennia. The pyramid does not need to be fully closed to feel unopened. It still keeps rooms in reserve. The Clovis first model collapsed under older archaeological discoveries. For much of the 20th century, many believed the first people in the Americas were associated with the Clovis culture. Their distinctive stone points seemed to mark the opening chapter of human presence across the continents. Then older sites began to challenge that neat story. Evidence from places such as Monteverde showed that people were in the Americas before Clovis. The debate was intense because timelines shape everything. Migration routes, coastlines, ice corridors, and human adaptability all had to be reconsidered. The collapse of the old model is a reminder that archaeology can change dramatically when stubborn evidence survives. Some people go further, proposing far older arrivals and forgotten coastal cultures now hidden underwater. Scholars remain careful, because extraordinary dates need strong proof. Even so, the lesson is thrilling. A once dominant idea can fall because a few traces in soil refuse to fit. Ancient fire altars in Bactria hint at vanished ritual systems. In Central Asia, archaeological remains from the Bronze Age include sites with features interpreted as fire altars, ceremonial rooms, and ritual installations. They belong to a cultural world that connected oasis settlements, trade routes, and religious practices before better-known empires took shape. The mystery is how these rituals worked and what beliefs stood behind them. Fire may have represented purification, divine presence, transformation, or social authority. Later traditions in the region also gave fire great sacred importance, which makes the earlier evidence especially intriguing. Some people believe these sites preserve the roots of teachings that later influenced major religions. Others warn against drawing straight lines across centuries without enough proof. Still, the pattern feels suggestive. Carefully prepared spaces, repeated practices, and controlled flame all point toward a disciplined spiritual system. The difficulty is that rituals leave traces without explanations. We find the ash, but not the prayer. The Stonehenge timber circle emerged from sand like a warning. On the coast of Norfolk, a prehistoric timber circle appeared as shifting sands revealed preserved wood from a vanished ritual landscape. At its center was an upturned tree stump with roots exposed toward the sky. The image was strange, powerful, and difficult to forget. Because timber usually decays, the survival of this structure felt like a rare message from a world normally lost. Archaeologists interpreted it as a Bronze Age ceremonial site, perhaps connected with death, transformation, or seasonal rites. Some people saw the exposure of the circle as unsettling, as if something meant to remain hidden had returned at the wrong time. Modern debate over its excavation added another layer, because local feeling and scientific study did not always align. The mystery is partly about meaning and partly about disturbance. A sacred wooden monument was placed near water long ago. The sea kept it, then gave it back. Mysterious cup and ring marks spread across ancient landscapes. Across parts of Europe, prehistoric people carved circular hollows and rings into rock surfaces. The designs appear on outcrops, stones, and panels, often in places with wide views or strong landscape presence. They can look simple, but their repetition over large areas suggests shared meaning. The problem is that the meaning did not survive in words. Some researchers suggest territorial markers, ritual maps, water symbolism, or connections with the movement of the sun. Some people believe the marks were used as energy diagrams or star records. Others think they were made during ceremonies where carving itself mattered more than the finished image. Their locations make the mystery deeper. Many seem placed where people would gather, look outward, or move through the land. They are not pictures in the ordinary sense. They are signs that invite touch and memory. The rock becomes a surface where thought and place meet. The Jordanian desert kites reveal enormous traps seen best from above. In the deserts of Jordan and surrounding regions, ancient stone walls form vast shapes that guide animals toward enclosed ends. From the ground, these structures can be hard to understand. From the air, their purpose becomes clearer. They were likely used for large-scale hunting, showing cooperation, planning, and deep knowledge of animal movement. The impressive part is not only their size, it is their visibility problem. The builders created designs that make the most sense from a viewpoint they did not normally have. That does not mean they needed flight, but it does mean they could plan huge patterns across open land with remarkable accuracy. Some people see the kites as evidence of surveying skill that has been underestimated. Others imagine ritual meanings attached to the hunt. These structures turn empty desert into a hidden machine. The landscape itself became a tool, built from low walls and collective intention. Ancient quarries show stone blocks abandoned before impossible journeys. Around the world, unfinished stones remain in quarries like frozen decisions. Some were partly cut from bedrock and then left behind. Others were shaped enough to reveal their intended size before cracks, flaws, or changing plans ended the work. These abandoned blocks are priceless because they show process rather than finished glory. They let us see where ambition met geology. A monument may look effortless once complete, but a quarry exposes risk, labor, and calculation. Some blocks are so enormous that people wonder whether ancient builders truly meant to move them. If they did, the transport plan must have been astonishing. Some people imagine lost lifting methods or confidence based on skills we no longer possess. More grounded explanations point to ramps, sledges, teams, and practical experience. Still, the abandoned stones carry a peculiar drama. They are monuments to intention. They show what ancient builders almost achieved, and perhaps what even they could not. The Orkney temples suggest Britain once held a powerful ritual centre. On the islands north of Scotland, excavations have revealed a Neolithic landscape of remarkable sophistication. Stone circles, chambered tombs, settlements, and ceremonial buildings show that Orkney was not a remote backwater. It may have been a major centre of ritual life, influencing ideas that later spread across Britain. The scale and quality of construction at sites like the NES of Brodgar have changed how many people imagined the ancient North. Instead of simple villages at the edge of the map, we find communities capable of planning grand sacred spaces. Some people see Orkney as a lost spiritual capital. Others suggest it was one important node in a wider network of exchange and ceremony. The islands hold the mystery beautifully because they feel both isolated and connected. Boats could make the sea a road. What looks distant now may once have been central to a world of stone, story, and ritual. Neolithic plastered skulls reveal a strange relationship with the dead. In parts of the ancient Near East, human skulls were removed, reshaped with plaster, and sometimes given shell eyes. The result can feel startlingly lifelike. These were not ordinary burials. They suggest that certain ancestors were remembered in a physical and visible way after death. The practice raises intimate questions about grief, identity, and power. Were these skulls kept in homes? Were they displayed during rituals? Did they represent family founders, revered elders, or beings transformed into protective presences? Archaeologists study the materials and contexts, but the emotional logic remains hard to reach. Some people see the practice as evidence that early farming communities had a deep cult of ancestors. Others believe it reflects attempts to preserve personality after the body was gone. The mystery is moving because it is so human. People were not only burying the dead, they were remaking faces so memory could look back. The Cahokia mounds prove North America held vast ancient cities. Near the Mississippi River, a major urban center rose with huge earthen mounds, plazas, neighborhoods, and evidence of wide influence. At its height, Cahokia may have been larger than many European cities of the same period. Yet it is still far less known than ancient sites in Egypt, Greece, or Mesoamerica. That imbalance has shaped public imagination. Many people are surprised to learn that North America had complex cities before European contact. The largest mound required enormous labor, planning, and social coordination. The wider site suggests ceremony, trade, authority, and perhaps tensions, but eventually contributed to decline. Some people wonder whether Cahokia was organized around cosmic principles, sacred rulership, or a calendar of public events. Others focus on farming and regional power. The city's disappearance from everyday memory is part of the mystery. A vast center stood in the heart of the continent, then became easier to forget than explain. Ancient Australian stone arrangements may preserve extremely old sky knowledge. In Australia, some Aboriginal stone arrangements have been studied for possible alignments with solar events and celestial patterns. These sites sit within living cultural landscapes where traditional knowledge can reach back through extraordinary spans of time. That makes them different from many ancient monuments interpreted only through excavation. Here, archaeology, astronomy, and indigenous knowledge can meet, although each must be handled with respect. The idea that these arrangements may reflect careful sky watching is powerful because Aboriginal cultures are among the oldest continuing cultures on Earth. Some people see evidence of ancient observatories. Others caution that meaning cannot be reduced to a single function. A place may hold law, teaching, ceremony, and memory at once. The mystery is not a lack of intelligence. It is the opposite. It asks whether modern history has underestimated knowledge systems that were never written in books, but were carried through land, story, and sky. The Denisovan bracelet showed craftsmanship from an unexpected human relative. In Siberia's Denisova cave, a polished stone bracelet fragment was found in a setting linked with an ancient human relative known as the Denisovans. The object became famous because its workmanship seemed surprisingly refined for such an early context. It was made from greenstone, shaped and polished with care, and may have included a drilled hole. The exact associations and dating have been discussed carefully, but the find still expanded the public imagination. Denisovans were not just shadowy names from DNA. They may have had aesthetic sense, technical skill, and symbolic behavior. Some people wonder whether different human relatives shared knowledge, exchanged objects, or developed traditions we barely recognize. Others urge caution when connecting any artifact to a specific group. Even with caution, the bracelet matters. It suggests that beauty and craft were not exclusive to us. The human family tree may have been more talented and mysterious than expected. Prehistoric cave acoustics suggest rituals shaped by sound itself. Some painted caves have unusual acoustic qualities, where echoes, resonance, or amplified sounds occur near images and chambers. This has led researchers to wonder whether ancient people chose certain spaces not only for what could be seen, but for what could be heard. A cave can transform the voice. It can make footsteps, chants, and instruments feel larger than the people producing them. In a ritual setting, that effect could have been powerful. Some people imagine ceremonies where sound made the rock seem alive. Others see practical selection, with artists returning to places that already felt special through sensory experience. The idea changes how we picture cave art. It was not simply visual. It may have belonged to a world of movement, darkness, sound, and shared attention. The walls carried images, but the chambers may have carried voices. What we see today may be only half the original event. The Saqqara bird inspired theories about forgotten ancient flight. A small wooden object found in Egypt resembles a bird, but its shape has led some people to compare it with a glider. It has wings, a body, and a form that looks strangely aerodynamic to modern eyes. Mainstream interpretations usually treat it as a bird model, toy, ritual object, or symbolic artifact. Still, the flight theory became famous because it raises an irresistible possibility. Did ancient Egyptians experiment with principles of lift, even in a limited way? The object itself cannot prove aircraft technology. It lacks clear evidence of a complete flying system. Yet it shows how a simple artifact can ignite a much larger debate. Some people see a memory of lost engineering. Others see modern imagination projected onto ancient craftsmanship. What makes it interesting is the tension between shape and context. The object looks familiar to us for reasons its maker may never have intended. Ancient poison rings reveal secrets of fear, politics, and survival. Rings with hidden compartments have been found in ancient contexts, and some were likely designed to hold tiny amounts of substances. Their possible uses range from medicine and perfume to poison and emergency protection. The darker interpretation has made them famous because it suggests a world where danger could be carried on the hand. In courts, trade networks, and elite circles, trust was not always safe. A concealed compartment could serve as threat, insurance, or last resort. Archaeology rarely reveals the exact substance once held inside, so interpretation remains careful. Some people imagine assassins, spies, and rulers guarding secrets in plain sight. Others see practical containers given a dramatic reputation by later storytelling. The fascination lies in intimacy. A monumental ruin speaks of public power. A hidden ring speaks of private fear. It reminds us that ancient history was not only built in stone, it was also worn against the skin. The Tali papyrus became Egyptology's strangest possible sky mystery. A controversial text said to describe unusual fiery objects in the sky during ancient Egypt has attracted attention for decades. The story is difficult because the original papyrus is missing, and what survives is tied to copies and claims that cannot be fully verified. That makes mainstream scholars cautious, as they should be. Yet the tale continues because it sounds exactly like the kind of discovery alternative history hopes to find. If authentic, it could be read as an ancient report of a startling aerial event. Some people interpret it as evidence of visitors, omens, or a phenomenon recorded by court scribes. Others see a modern misunderstanding, fabrication, or exaggerated translation. The mystery survives in the gap between desire and evidence. It is not a stable artifact in a case. It is a story about a lost document, and sometimes lost documents become more powerful than the ones we can hold. Newly scanned ruins keep revealing cities hidden beneath forests. Modern survey technology has changed archaeology by allowing researchers to see through dense vegetation and map buried landscapes from above. In places like Central America and Southeast Asia, scans have revealed roads, platforms, reservoirs, terraces, and settlement patterns that were invisible from the ground. This has transformed ideas about population size and urban planning in ancient tropical regions. The forest was not always wilderness. In many areas, it grew over human design. The revelations feel dramatic because they show how much history can hide in plain sight. Some people wonder whether entire chapters of civilization are still waiting under canopies, deserts, and floodplains. Others focus on the careful work needed to confirm what scans suggest. Technology does not replace excavation, but it changes where we look. Each new map feels like a curtain lifting. The ancient world is not finished being discovered. It is becoming visible by degrees. Archaeology's greatest mystery may be how much remains buried. Every discovery changes the known past, but it also reminds us of the unknown surrounding it. Most ancient buildings have decayed. Most objects were reused, broken, burned, or lost. Many settlements lie under modern cities, deep soil, water, or land that has never been surveyed. Written records survive unevenly, often favoring rulers and leaving ordinary people almost silent. This means the past we study is only a fraction of what once existed. Some people imagine hidden archives, sealed chambers, drowned ports, or lost technologies still waiting for the right moment. Others see a more human mystery, made of forgotten villages, vanished languages, and lives that left only faint traces. The greatest wonder may not be one monument or artifact. It may be the scale of absence itself. Archaeology is a conversation with what survived by chance. Beneath that conversation lies everything that did not, and everything that still might. And so, we have wandered through the ancient world, one mystery at a time. We began with stones that seemed to question the timeline itself. We stood near monuments raised by hands that left no clear instruction behind. We looked at chambers beneath the ground, cities beneath the water, roads beneath the fields, and markings cut into rock before writing had fully learned to speak. Again and again, the past refused to stay simple. A carved pillar became more than stone. A buried room became more than shelter. A strange tool, a lost map, a sealed tomb, and an unread symbol each became a small opening in the wall of certainty. Through those openings, we glimpsed a world that feels older, wider, and more mysterious than the version most of us were first taught. Some of these mysteries may one day be explained. A future excavation may uncover a missing inscription. A new scan may reveal a hidden chamber. A careful translation may turn a silent object into a voice again. One day, a buried workshop might show exactly how an impossible stone was shaped. One day, a sealed tomb may open and change the story in a single afternoon. But some answers may never come. The people who raised these monuments are gone. Their songs are gone. Their arguments are gone. Their ordinary mornings have vanished with the smoke from their fires. We find what survived, and we try to listen. A tool in the ground, a skull beneath a floor, a road under a city, a pattern on stone, a wall that still catches the sun. Archaeology gives us evidence, but it also gives us silence. And that silence is not empty. It is full of patience. It waits under desert sand. It rests in flooded harbors. It lies beneath forest roots, beneath church floors, beneath modern streets, and beneath fields where people walk without knowing what sleeps below. The ancient world is not only behind us. In many ways, it is underneath us. That may be the deepest mystery of all. Not just how a pyramid was built, not just why a city was abandoned, not just what an unread script might say, but how much of human history still lies hidden, untouched, and unimagined. There may be whole settlements still folded into the earth. There may be ceremonial places covered by grass. There may be tools in river mud, stones under the sea, and old foundations waiting below the floor of ordinary life. Some may change everything. Others may simply add one small detail to the human story. But even one small detail can make the past feel alive again. Tonight, we have moved among ancient builders, careful observers, unknown healers, vanished rulers, and communities who looked at the world with minds as rich and searching as our own. They watched the sky. They shaped the land. They worked stone. They buried their dead. They followed patterns that mattered deeply to them, even when those patterns now seem strange to us. And perhaps that is why these mysteries stay with us. They remind us that human beings have always wondered. Long before modern cities, long before electric lights, long before the easy answers of the present age, people were already asking what the sky meant. They were already making sacred places. They were already measuring seasons, moving mountains of stone, and trying to leave something behind. Some may have known things we have forgotten. Some may have believed things we would struggle to understand. Some may have built with ordinary tools and extraordinary patience. And some, perhaps, may have touched knowledge that still feels just out of reach. But for now, we do not need to solve it all. We can let the questions remain open. We can let the stones stay where they are. We can let the sealed chambers rest in darkness a little longer. We can let the unread symbols keep their secret without forcing them to speak before we are ready to hear them. The mystery does not need to be finished tonight. It can simply settle. So now, as this journey through the unexplained side of archaeology comes to a close, allow your attention to drift away from the ruins. Let the temples fade back into the distance. Let the desert grow still. Let the caves become dark and calm. Let the old roads disappear beneath the fields once more. There is nothing more you need to uncover tonight. Your body can rest. Your thoughts can loosen. Your breathing can find its own slow rhythm. Imagine the ancient world becoming quiet around you. A stone circle under a pale sky. A buried chamber sealed and undisturbed. A forgotten city resting beneath soft earth. Nothing is asking to be solved. Nothing is asking to be held. The mysteries will still be there tomorrow, patient as ever, waiting in their own time. And you can leave them there. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands become still. If your mind returns to one of the mysteries, that is all right. Let it pass by like a distant lantern on an old road. You do not need to follow it. You do not need to explain it. You can simply notice it and let it fade. The ancient stones have kept their secrets for thousands of years. They can keep them for one more night. If you enjoyed this journey, you are welcome to like, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps other curious souls find their way here too. And if you happen to still be awake, another mystery is waiting for you on the screen. But if sleep is already close, then let it come. Let the questions grow softer. Let the past grow distant. Let the room around you become calm. And as the final traces of tonight's mystery drift away, remember that not every door needs to be opened. Some can remain closed. Some can simply remind us that the world is older, stranger, and more wonderful than we know. Sleep well, and good night.